For many years, contemporary Vietnamese beauty standards have followed closely that of Korean and Japanese trends, particularly in the celebration of fair skin tone. The belief that white skin is the only desirable outcome for recognition of beauty has become a social norm. Lately, however, there has been a revival in multiple skin tone in Vietnamese popular culture, apparent through public positive perception of darker skin color. This challenges the deep-rooted issue of colorism in Vietnam and poses a question of possible reasons for this change of heart. Colorism is hugely active in Asian culture, defined by Benjamin Franklin as prejudice based on skin tone, which is typically practiced within races. Beauty companies capitalize on this need for light skin by putting out shelves of whitening product lines that exist solely in Asian markets. Many ads focus on the effect on women's quality of life. As time progressed, these advertisements became more sneaky. However, the connotation stays consistent. White skin is the most desirable end goal. John's story defines popular culture as culture that is widely favored by many people, which means it is well known by the public. According to this issue belongs in Vietnamese popular culture because of its reach in society. Skin lightening products are marketed daily on mass forms of media, and with all the top influencers appearing in the spotlight being fair skin, it's hard to not think this is the ultimate picture to strive for. Not only traditional media, colorism also manifests through social media channels, thanks to advancements in technology. There's a vibrant market of local handmade whitening cream, mainly marketed through live stream sessions. The fun demeanor of the sellers make these live streams well liked by young generation, who turn them to a social media phenomenon. The use of ridiculous reasoning and ingredients make them become well-known personas that attracted a large number of pirated videos. Despite the widespread sales of these products, their harmful health impacts are well documented and warned against. There are a number of reasons for the appearance of skin color preference in the nation. Like many Asian countries, Vietnam has been colonized by white Westerners, particularly by French and Americans for almost 9 decades. Its long history of colonization under European invaders has left an indelible mark on people's perception of skin color. Racism and xenophobia from these Westerners, who have taken over the country, led to re-education for Vietnamese people to worship the colonizers and their culture. Performative whiteness, a survival technique for the oppressed and a tool for the more mobile to gain social status, has lingered in post-colonial Asia. This has founded local people's attribution of white skin to power and beauty, a belief still very much prevalent in today's time. As it is, colorism in Asia has emerged prior to Western contacts as a product of classism. Back then, people of lower class worked manual labors in the form of field work for rich landowners, which exposed them more to sunlight and gave them tan skin. This has led to skin color being a symbol of socio-economic status, an effective indicator to differentiate between classes because it reflects the financial ability of the bearer. Another reason for this pre-existing favoritism of fair skin tone is the aesthetics and ethic beliefs in Asian cultures. Historically, Japanese women use thick white makeup because of the attribution to class privilege, spiritual purity, and feminine beauty. In India, there is a strong debate as to whether colorism is linked to its caste system, originated in Hinduism. In China, the practice of skin lightening dates back centuries, based on the affiliation of fairness to high social status and wealth. The upper class of Korean population valued white skin as a symbol of nobility and had a long tradition of using products to make their face white and transparent. In Vietnam, although skin tone isn't a crucial factor in assessing women's overall beauty as the Confucian ideals for virtues, but when it does, it ranks second in the category. The belief of fair skin as an indicator of women's beauty was also expressed through early Vietnamese literature, such as the classic work The Tale of Kiều or Floating Cake, which were both composed around the 18th century and included in official teaching curriculums of Vietnamese education system. In modern times, globalization further reinforced colorism in Vietnam by cultural imperialism in mass media, with the introduction of Eurocentric beauty standards and white hegemony, which has its root in racism in Western culture. In contemporary Vietnam, white images are very present and easily accessible through many channels. Ramsey's concept of hegemony explains how ideological texts shape people's understanding of social reality. White hegemony in media refers to a saturation of white characters and stories in media productions, overcrowding and in many cases, ripping off Asian images and representations, known as the common occurrence of yellowface or whitewashing in Hollywood. It's a known fact that the on-screen representation of non-white groups are extremely limited and often biased. Stuart Hall's representation theory states that representation is always imbued with ideology, as we can see through stereotypical and peripheral portrayals of persons of color. Cultural imperialism, the process of Western culture dominating over the rest of the world, has preceded a world where media and cultural order, where Americans sit at the top of the hierarchy. Ultimately, popular culture became a key site for the retainment of white power, for the production and maintenance of instrumental whiteness. This universal McDonaldization process has normalized the ideal appearance of a standard citizen in a global village. Prominent Asian figures who get a chance to be featured in Hollywood mainly belong in East Asian communities, who have a fairer skin complexion compared to the general Asian population. The same thing happens in the million-dollar industry Bollywood, in Latino communities, and the music industry. These individuals represent the acceptable version of person of color because of their light skin tone and Eurocentric features. The ideal notion of beauty in Vietnam also embraces Northeast Asia as the face of modernity, based on the superior economic achievements. Young Vietnamese idolize the glass skin of current celebrities, and Japanese natural glowing skin is also a favorite look. This has created a huge local demand for beauty products from these two powerhouse countries. Chinese models are looked up to not only because of their pale skin, but also because of their lean skinny figures. In the end, this deep-rooted obsession with fair complexion had little to do with the desire to become Caucasian, but rather its socio-economic implications. The advertising industry has exerted a lucrative, highly effective strategy by linking Western ideals of physical beauty to economic success, thus putting a face on modernity. In modern days, the cosmetic surgery and skin bleaching industry has led to whiteness and skin color becoming a commodity that could be bought at the right price, allowing consumers an opportunity to obtain racial and cultural capital. After all, it is only rational for consumers to respond to the perceived association between likeness and better life outcomes due to the active promotion of multinational corporations and the mass media. However, we are witnessing a sudden shift in the skin complexion celebration in Vietnam recently. In 2017, the henna became a social phenomenon by winning first place in Miss Universe Vietnam and becoming a top 5 finalist in Miss Universe 2018, the furthest any Vietnamese representative has made. Her successes were a surprise to many because of her ethnic backgrounds and undoubtedly different appearance from other beauty icons. Her henna presents a very new perspective of feminine strength and is considered to be a pioneer for an alternative definition of beauty. Other celebrities and influencers who have tan skin also receive a large following on social media, proving that there has been some kind of change in the skin celebration from young audiences. Famous Vietnamese beauty trendsetters no longer advocate for fair porcelain skin as they wanted look, but rather shift their interest on heavy Western makeup style that has a lot of contour setting and darker tones. Male celebrities have a lighter outlook instead of the rocket style, wearing brighter tones of makeup, and some also endorse skin beauty products. There is also an increase in the content about darker skin tone, where instead of trying to erase this by seeking whitening measures, Vietnamese youth are looking for an alternative way to address the problem. Many express their distress over the exclusive beauty standards that alienate anything other than a white complexion and encourage others to be more educated. Furthermore, there seems to be a demand for darkening skin by means of tanning. I believe that the answer relates largely to the influence of globalization, which enabled transcultural mobility and thus encouraged an anti-hegemonic movement in young generations. Research found that globalization has an ability to influence and transfer positive social values. In this context, the globalization process plays a role in raising social awareness and tolerance in young generations about the prejudice against dark skin tones and motivated a more inclusive perception. In this case, Easy access to global social issues has helped the youth become aware of this drive for diversity in beauty, as well as the self-love and acceptance movement that has affected their appreciation of individual beauty. What's more, young people's support of global campaigns for gender equality has possibly influenced the shift in skin tone celebration as a means of defiance against socially constructed concepts of gender and sexuality. We are all familiar with the image of the fair maiden and then the tall, dark, handsome gentleman. Humans' natural ability to extract rare abilities from social environments is a possible reason for this gender color complex. Interestingly, this is relevant to Butler's concept of gender performativity, where repetition and recreation is largely at play. In Asian culture, the white color's implications are typically associated with the expected values in women, therefore the notion of fairness is semantics for the image of women. Meanwhile, black usually stands for strength, firmness, and as such is linked to the image of men. Thus, this exchange of skin color celebration by gender in Vietnamese young generation can be seen as a local advocacy for gender equality, fighting against gender stereotypes and biases. As regard to the modern use of skin color as capital, scholars have witnessed the use of dark skin being increasingly advantageous in acquiring perceived racial authenticity. Perhaps there's a rise in collective Asian values as a response to dominant Western environments, utilizing yellow skin as a symbol of soft power to reclaim white spaces. The increase in local productions such as movies, TV series, and music videos also have become more prominent, resulting in national values and images of Vietnamese being more widely received. The international success of Vietnamese films such as Colorism, The Third Wife have created a strong desire in young audiences to see more of their culture represented in the mass media, possibly lowering the influence of white hegemony. Finally, the change in classism in modern-day Vietnamese society, namely the switch from on-field manual labor as the main profession to other industrial fields has changed the construction of society, making skin color no longer a benchmark of social status. In light of the positive adaptation in skin color in Vietnam, globalization still has the capability to reinforce existing European beauty standards and present a new challenge, which is the introduction of new global beauty. This is a new image of desirable Asian characters who have yellow skin but with Western facial features. In summary, I consider the influence of globalization to be the key player for the recent shift in skin color appreciation in Vietnam, which allowed youngsters easy access to a range of social movements and in turn encouraged them to take on an anti-hegemonic stance. Young people have created a counterculture as the response to an increasingly homogenized world sphere, using leisure as a route to resist Western domination. However, it will take a joint effort in order to further amplify the Asian voice, starting with more accurate and inclusive representation on pop media.